Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is what we're looking at right now is the Sea Venom. This is test server footage, so it is kind of cool to see a little bit of gameplay on the test server. Now, mind you, this is test server, not dev server footage. No news as to when the dev server will be up, but I am definitely awaiting it with pleasure. And the bad news is I am sick as a dog. When I swallow water, it feels like I'm swallowing knives. I've got this nasty fever. It sucks. But, hey, this Sea Venom looks awesome. And listen to that, those 420s blazing. Yeah, you can kind of tell the lack of energy right now. I haven't slept too well, but let's go over this two-seated jet fighter, the Sea Venom FAW-20. So the British Sea Venom FAW-20 carrier-based jet fighter will be another new addition in War Thunder 1.57. It's the first two-seater jet fighter in the game. Now, if only we could have two of us in the same plane, so when your pilot gets sniped, you know, the other guy could take over, right? But the carrier-based Sea Venom appeared as a version of the two-seater seats for both the pilot and the radar operator, ground-launched Venom NF Mark II fighter, fitted with radar equipment. At the request of the Navy, the base interceptor was equipped with an arrestor hook, a folding mechanism to store the wings for convenient storage on aircraft carriers, and a tail bumper to protect the tail unit from strikes on the deck. The aircraft completed testing and went into service with the all-weather fighter designation. FAW fighter all-weather. This unusual two-seater aircraft is coming to War Thunder with update 1.57. So the Sea Venom has been recreated by War Thunder model artists in all of its glory. Here we can see the unusually shaped arrestor hook, the complex wing folding mechanism, and the large flaps with two-piece air brakes. So that's interesting, two-piece air brakes. However, it is worth mentioning that the function of wing retracting mechanism doesn't work at this point in the game, kind of like the PT-76 being put in the game and not being able to float initially. I'm not sure if you need to add this in the game, because it would be cool, but it wouldn't really have too much of a function, because at this point it's not like we're all taken off from carriers and need to land and refuel and rearm as you would realistically. But so the feature is not currently implemented in the game, but the in-game models are constructed with a view to improvement and addition in the future. So, hey, you never know. So, 4 automatic 20mm caliber Hispano Mark V cannons are mounted in the nose of the fighter, and of course, the aircraft's main feature, a two-seater cabin with the crew, pilot and radar operator, seated next to each other. So, I know that in the Mosquito, we all named our co-pilots and our radar man. Granted, the Mossy didn't really have a radar, but we've all named them. Some people, it's Nigel. For others, it's Tom, John. Just what did you name him, right? I still remember the first time I saw the other guy and with his epic mustache. So let's get back to the Sea Venom had the Havilland Ghost engine, and it's powering the aircraft to a very respectable speed of just over 620 miles per hour, or 1,000 kilometers per hour. And the 4 rapid-firing Hispano cannons with 150 rounds per gun allow it to deal with most any opponent it meets in the sky. So, most importantly, Nigel, in his role as co-pilot, will receive an up-to-date flight suit with this update. That's pretty legit. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Venom, the Sea Venom. And I did fly out the Venom. I haven't played the Venom in a very, very long time. So I found it interesting that the Venom was a pretty capable dogfighter, pretty maneuverable. It was kind of tricky dealing with like MiG-15s and MiG-17s and Sabres, which were definitely more than quick to get away from you. but you really kind of had to play the situation. And kind of, for me, it seemed like more of maybe, a dogfighting jet as opposed to like a boom and zoom jet. Now I am by no means an ace jet pilot. I'd say most of my skills reside in mid-tier planes and tanks. But you know what? I think I want to get more into jets because it is fun. And I went in and 2 games, 2 kills, and I didn't die. So I was like, hey man, maybe I got this jets thing going on. But the Venom is a very, very good aircraft. So I'm curious to see how the Sea Venom keeps up. It will be tier 5. And, so, man. Well, that was weird. I thought I was getting invaded for a second. My door kept rattling, and it turned out it's very windy here in Florida. And one of the downstairs doors blew open. So is the air pressure tugging at my door on the 2nd story, which was pretty nuts. Anyway, so back to jet talk. Jets is a very high skilled, area of War Thunder to compete in. It's very expensive too. And I know a lot of people have been complaining with regards to, they're like, oh, we play this game so we can compete at the highest tiers, but it's just not affordable. We can't do it. We have to save up like 10, we have to grind a bunch of games just to have enough cash to compete one time in it. But I remember that World of Tanks was like that, a while ago. But I'm wondering if, what do you think would be a good solution for that? Because I think that's the problem with free-to-play game models is they are largely dependent upon people playing the game for an extended period of time. To grind up to all these things and then to want to put real money in to do it quicker. But anyway, so enough of my amateur jet footage. Now let's go on and look at the Sunderland, the S-25 Sunderland flying boat, which is one of the largest flying boats. And really here's a fun question. What flying boat would you like War Thunder to add into the game? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to kick this fever and actually try to get some sleep. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I hope that you're feeling good too. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the Sunderland. All right, so now we're looking at the S-25 Sunderland. Now, when you compare it to other flying boats in the game right now, the direct comparisons, you would look at the PBY Catalina and the H6K. Now, what's interesting is the Sunderland is easily the tallest out of all of them. Some like 10 feet taller than I think the next highest, which is the H6K. But what's interesting is while the Sunderland and the H6K are similar in length of the plane, the Sunderland being 85 feet long and the H6K being 84 feet long, the wingspan of the H6K is much bigger at about 131 feet versus the Sunderland's 112 feet. Then you look at the smaller PBY, which is almost 64 feet long and a wingspan of only 104 feet. So this is easily, as far as size of the fuselage, the biggest float plane in the game. The wingspan isn't as large as the H6K, nor are the guns as good. I believe that there's only 3 turrets on the S-25 Sunderland, which is called the Flying Hotel. And just how we were talking about how it's the tallest, this thing is a double-decker. It's got 2 floors. And on top of that, it had spare propellers, enough room for a relief crew. And I think in the dev blog, let's see, where is it at? Apart from its 7 to 10 crew members, the Sunderland could comfortably house a relief crew in sleeping quarters. Fixed frontal and turret machine guns with a large ammunition complement and only up to 2,000 pounds of bombing equipment, which kind of is very similar to the H6K as far as pounds, but I'm not sure if the Sunderland's going to be able to carry torpedoes. And we love our torpedoes. So, I mean, when you look at this, this is a very beautiful, beautiful looking aircraft. It is awesome. It's going to be low tier, and it only has 2,000 bombs. And the way that the bombs work is they have these little ports right under the wings where there's a rack where you can put bombs on and put them outside of the fuselage and then drop them as needed. So you're never going to have huge bombs, right? And only bombs up to 2,000 pounds. So you're going to have a really high ordnance of, or a high number of ordnance, but relatively low. Relatively low. I mean, it's still 2,000 pounds of bombs, but I would imagine you're only going to be able to drop, what, 100s or something like that, probably. But it's kind of cool because it's just under the wing root, and an electrical mechanism extended the bombs out on special rails along the sides of the flying boat from where they were then dropped. The engineering solution has been recreated in the in-game model. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be low tier, much like the PBY and H6K. And there's a story in here about, like, this aircraft evacuated 82 people, not counting its crew members, in a single flight. And it also was a VIP transport getting the royal family of Greece to evacuate. So, all said and done, man, this is going to be a very interesting aircraft. Very big, very lumbering, given its low tier and its relatively small complement of anti-aircraft turrets. I wonder how well this thing's going to be able to defend itself, but all I know is I think it's the coolest looking flying boat that we have right now in the game.